So it's not just cows and pigs and chickens and fish that are being intentionally killed for people's food preferences. Wild animals are also being killed so people can eat meat and dairy products. Even wild American horses are being annihilated over grass-fed beef. Every year in the United States, the U.S. government, with our own tax dollars, on behalf of the livestock industry, cattle ranchers to be more specific, rounds up thousands of wild American horses each and every single year. In Nevada, just in the past few weeks, over 20 wild American horses, including foals, died during these BLM roundups as they're being chased by helicopters. This horse right here broke his leg and was shot dead to put him out of his misery. A couple of the mares broke their necks inside the traps. And again, a few of the babies, the foals, have also died. Look at my last video that I posted. Check that out. Share that. Duet that. Get the word out. Because people need to know the truth. People need to know. There is a war on wildlife over animal agriculture. Cattle ranchers want these public lands for their cows to graze. Because on public lands, they only have to pay $1.35 per animal per month. On public lands, the going rate is anywhere from $10 to $47 per animal per month on private lands, as opposed to $1.35 per animal per month on public lands. So every year, on behalf of the livestock industry, on behalf of cattle ranchers, thousands and thousands of wild American horses are removed from these public lands so that cattle and sheep can graze these lands instead at a fraction of the going rate. And these horses often die. Just recently, over 20 horses perished in those BLM roundups. No, I am not stating anything that's inaccurate. So I'm going to block you because obviously you're up to no good. You are up to no good. I have no reason to lie. I have no reason to lie. People need to know the truth. This is a fact. This is a fact. Just look it up. Between the BLM and the Forest Service, over 20,000 grazing permits are issued. Over 20,000 grazing permits are issued for livestock farmers to graze their animals on public lands. And no matter where those animals are, what state, the going rate on public lands is $1.35 per animal per month. On private lands, it goes anywhere from the minimum $10 per animal per month all the way up to $47 per animal per month. In Nevada, the going rate on private land is $10 per animal per month. So yeah, the cattle ranchers can graze their cattle on these public lands for $1.35 instead of the $10 going rate. So yeah, the government rounds up wild American horses, removes those horses from these public lands so cattle and sheep can graze these lands cheap at a fraction of the going rate. These horses end up in government holding facilities, those that survive the roundup. They end up in government holding facilities, and then from there, what happens to them is they end up being auctioned off. And who is buying these horses? Mostly kill buyers. Mostly kill buyers are buying these horses cheap at auction, and then they ship them into Canada and ship them into Mexico, where it is legal for them to be slaughtered for horse meat. So yeah, if you're eating a steak, you know, you're so proud of yourself because, oh, I only eat grass-fed beef. You know, at least I know the animals, you know, they get to go out and graze the land and, you know, well, you're the reason why the horses are being annihilated. And just so you know, cattle are slaughtered at 1 year old. They're all slaughtered at 1 year old, whether they're grass-fed or like most cattle raised on a feedlot. They're all going to be slaughtered at 1 year old, between 12 to 22 months old. So 1 year old. Now the grass-fed might live closer to 22 months because it takes a little longer for them to reach slaughter weight. You know, the majority of the cattle are on feedlots being fed grains, so those animals reach slaughter weight quicker being fed the grains. So they probably live closer to 12 months and then they're slaughtered. Grass-fed cattle might live closer to 22 months, but still they're 1 year old. They don't make it to their second birthday, when those animals can actually live well over 20 years, even close to like 30 years. They could live. Yeah, my mental health is perfectly fine. Yeah, it's just pathetic that people come here to defend animal cruelty and then call me like mentally ill because I don't participate in animal cruelty, and I certainly do not promote animal cruelty. Yeah, it's just sad. So for anybody out there, you know, anybody who claims to be an animal lover, anybody who claims to be a nature lover, you need to go vegan. And you need to go vegan right now. There's no reason why you cannot go vegan immediately. A whole foods plant-based diet is by far the best diet for human health. It's not vegans dropping dead prematurely by the thousands each year. Each day, thousands of people die prematurely from heart attacks and strokes and cancer. It's not vegans dropping dead prematurely by the thousands each day from heart attacks and strokes and cancer. From the American Heart Association, from the National Kidney Foundation, from the American Institute for Cancer Research, a plant-based diet helps reduce your risk of all of those very common and very deadly diseases, and can even help treat those diseases if you have them. And yeah, the animals whose flesh and no, I'm not stating anything that's false. I'm literally telling the truth. Disagrees with me. I'm literally stating facts, okay? I'm not talking about opinions here, okay? I'm literally stating facts. It is a fact that the U.S. government rounds up thousands of wild American horses each year to benefit the livestock industry. So get your facts straight and don't come on my live stream calling me a liar when I'm literally stating facts that you could literally just look up. Right there on the BLM's webpage itself states that the rate for them to graze their animals on public lands is $1.35 as opposed to $10 to $47 per animal per month to graze them on private land. So yes, these wild American horses are being removed from public lands so cattle ranchers and sheep farmer can graze their animals on these public lands cheap at a fraction of the going rate. And where do these horses end up? the ones that survive the roundups, yeah, they end up in government holding facilities. Again, this is factual information. And again, from there, what happens? What happens? What happens to those horses in those government holding facilities? Most of them end up being auctioned off. Look it up. And who is buying these horses at auction? Mostly kill buyers. Yeah, some of them might get adopted out to people who, keep them. But no, mostly kill buyers are buying them up and shipping them into Canada and shipping them into Mexico, where they are slaughtered for horse meat. Factual information I am stating. So it's really pathetic. You want to come here and claim that I am lying when I'm literally stating the facts. And people need to know the facts, because this atrocity is being committed with our own tax dollars. So everybody in the United States, especially if you're not vegan, you need to know the wild American horses are being annihilated so you can eat meat. And oh yeah, don't be so proud of yourself if you go shopping at Whole Foods and you get your, grass-fed beef from Australia. I go to Whole Foods and I get my grass-fed beef that comes from Australia. So yeah, I don't have anything to do with the wild American horses being killed, because the beef I eat comes from Australia. Well, you're the reason why they're killing off the kangaroos. Yeah, because in Australia, they're killing millions of kangaroos every year for the same reason. Because those kangaroos compete with livestock for grazing land. So they are being shot dead by the millions. So people can eat a steak. And yeah, 20% of the beef imports into the United States come from Australia. So yeah, again, if you're getting your grass-fed beef at Whole Foods and it's coming from Australia, yeah, you're the reason why the kangaroos are being annihilated. So yeah, non-vegans are literally causing the 6th mass extinction. Yeah. No, I said millions of kangaroos, not horses. Millions, like about 2 million, around 2 million kangaroos each year are killed in Australia. And again, 20% of the beef imports into the US come from Australia. So yes, people in the United States eating grass-fed beef from Australia are the reason why kangaroos are being annihilated. Just like people in the United States who eat grass-fed beef that comes from the United States, you're the reason why the wild American horses are being annihilated. Now, I'm not going to stop because people need to know the truth. Most people don't realize what they're doing when they consume animal products. You're not just eating meat. That's the problem. You're not simply just eating meat. You are literally involved in an atrocity. You're literally the reason why wildlife is going extinct. The 6th mass extinction. Yeah, it's a thing that's happening right now because of non-vegans. Non-vegans are causing the 6th mass extinction. And even researchers at Oxford University, after doing an extensive study of over 40,000 farms, concluded that animal agriculture is so environmentally destructive. Going vegan is the best way to save the planet, and that if the world went vegan, land totaling the size of Africa could be freed up, because that is how much land is needed to graze and grow food for all of the ceaseless billions of animals that are needed to keep up with the demand for animal flesh and animal secretions. And yeah, just recently in Nevada, over 20 wild American horses were killed just in the past few weeks. Over 20 wild American horses in the state of Nevada alone perished in the past few weeks during The BLM roundups, that's happening, it's happening every year. The BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, on behalf of the livestock industry, with our tax dollars, they round up thousands and thousands of wild American horses each year, removing these horses from public lands so that livestock like cattle and sheep can graze these lands, these public lands, cheap. This horse right here broke his leg trying to escape the trap that he was forced into. He tried to escape and he broke his leg in the process. He was chased down and gunned down to be put out of his misery. He should have never have been put in this situation to begin with. And a lot of these horses, the mares, have babies with them. And those foals, many of them end up getting separated from their mothers as they're being chased down by helicopters, terrorized by helicopters to round them up and get them into these traps to remove them from these public lands so that cattle and sheep can graze these public lands cheap, without interference from the horses, without the competition of the horses. And the foals end up dying of exhaustion. The foals end up getting separated from their families and end up starving to death. So yeah, it's not just the cows being killed. It's not just the cattle being killed. It's not just the pigs and the chickens being killed. Wild animals are being annihilated so people can eat animal products. They're literally killing wolves and cougars and bears and bobcats and coyotes and lynxes by the millions each year because those animals are a threat to livestock. And the horses compete with livestock for grazing land and for water resources. So these horses are removed by the thousands each year from public lands so that cattle and sheep can graze these lands at a fraction of the going rate. Because on public lands, the BLM and the Forest Service, between the two, they issue over 20,000 grazing permits. Over 20,000 grazing permits are issued between the BLM and the Forest Service so that livestock farmers and cattle ranchers can graze their animals cheap on public lands. $1.35 per animal per month instead of the going rate of $10 to $47 per animal per month on private land. Yes, they're wild. Yeah, these are horses that were in the wild, living in the wild. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. Karen. Well, I'd rather be a Karen than an animal abuser. Yeah, well, cattle aren't native either. Cattle aren't native either. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Horses aren't native. Cattle aren't native. Someone else isn't native either. God, pitiful. Pitiful, pitiful, pitiful. Like, I am so glad I'm vegan. My only regret about going vegan is that I did not do it a hell of a lot sooner. But I was ignorant. Growing up, I was completely ignorant to the evil that is the animal agriculture industry. Had no idea growing up. All of the evil, vile things that were happening to animals so that I can consume animal products. Never, ever would have consumed any animal products growing up had I been taught better. The animal agriculture industry relies on consumers remaining ignorant. They want you to remain ignorant to what they're doing because they know once you learn the truth, yeah, you're going to go vegan. Unless, you're, pro animal abuse. Most people aren't pro animal abuse. Yeah, I would have to be crazy to know what I know and not be vegan. I would have to be crazy to know what I know and keep it to myself. So yeah, I'm never going to shut up because, like I said, the only thing I regret about going vegan is that I did not do it a hell of a lot sooner. The only reason why I did not do it a hell of a lot sooner is because I didn't know any better. I didn't know any better. I didn't learn until I was 42 years old about the male chicks in the egg industry being ground up alive. Because at the hatcheries where all the egg laying hens come from, even the organic free range egg laying hens, they cannot determine the sex of the chicks until they hatch. So upon hatching, they sort the males from the females and they put them on a conveyor belt, which dumps them into a macerator, which grinds them up alive because the males obviously don't lay eggs. And that breed of bird is not the same breed used for meat. It does not grow quick enough or big enough to be profitable for meat. So as soon as those male chicks hatch, they're disposed of. And the most common method of disposal is maceration, where they literally grind those little baby animals up alive. I never would have eaten an egg ever had I known that it's literally derived from an industry that grinds up baby animals alive. And those egg-laying hens themselves are sent to slaughter when they can no longer produce enough eggs to be profitable. In nature, a hen would only lay about a dozen to 2 dozen eggs per year. But in the egg industry, those egg-laying hens are forced to produce 200 to 300 eggs per year. So that puts a lot of stress on their bodies. So by the time they're only about a year and a half of age, their bodies can no longer keep on producing that number of eggs. So they are no longer profitable to the egg farmers. So they are shipped to slaughter at a year and a half of age when they could actually live well over 7 years. And from what I understand, they can live up to like 15 years, up to 15 years, but they're slaughtered at about a year and a half of age. I know it's not nice. It's evil, very evil. Killing is evil, especially killing over greed and gluttony. None of this is happening over any kind of nutritional requirement. We do not need to eat animal carcasses to be healthy. We do not need to eat the things that come out of a bird's shit-encrusted ass vagina to be healthy. We do not need to consume the things that come out of a cow's infected udder to be healthy. In fact, those products are very acidic, very inflammatory, and lead to all kinds of diseases like cancer and heart disease and kidney disease and cerebrovascular disease. You want to know what's nuts? What's nuts? Yeah. Farmers literally molest animals to force them to reproduce. Let me show you. Let me show you something. Yeah, you want to talk about nuts? Yeah, let me show you something that's nuts. Now, where did it go? Effects. Come on, where did it go? Where did it go? Why is this not giving me? This is not giving me. Okay, here it is. Okay, so green screen. And Okay, so you want to talk about nuts? Yeah, okay, well, it is standard practice throughout the entire animal agriculture industry that farmers use what they term artificial insemination to force breed animals. Okay, so in order for these farmers to be able to artificially inseminate female animals, they obviously have to have semen, right? Okay, well, yeah, let's look at this. This is how they get that semen. They literally masturbate male animals. Yeah, they do this to pigs for your pork and your bacon. They do this to bulls for your milk and your beef. Yeah, they masturbate a bull, collect his semen, force that semen into a cow to impregnate her, to make the cattle that you eat, or to impregnate her if she's a dairy cow, to get her to start producing milk, because dairy cows do not automatically produce milk. Dairy cows produce milk because they're mothers. They're forcibly impregnated. So they masturbate a bull, force the semen into the dairy cow to get her pregnant so she will start to lactate. And then when she gives birth, within a few hours, they steal her baby from her. And if that baby is a boy, he is sent off to the veal industry or the beef industry to be slaughtered. And even some of the female calves are sold off to the veal or beef industry to be slaughtered at just a few months old. Yeah, even beef cattle. All beef cattle, they're slaughtered between 12 to 22 months old. 1 year. 1 year old when they're slaughtered. They can live over 20 years, but they're slaughtered at 1 year old. And again, they're annihilating wild American horses for your grass-fed beef. But yeah, if you're Christian, just look at what your Bible says about bestiality. Yes, this is bestiality. See, because this is a human that is an animal. This human is literally sexually stimulating this animal, masturbating this animal until this animal ejaculates. A human sexually stimulating an animal, that is in fact sexual relations between a human and an animal, which is in fact bestiality. Animal molestation. You're literally funding animal molestation when you consume animal products, because they're not just doing this to pigs in the pork industry. They're doing this to bulls in the dairy and the beef industry. They're also doing this to roosters in the poultry and egg industry. They literally masturbate a rooster to collect his semen so they can force the semen into a hen to fertilize her eggs, so those eggs hatch into the egg-laying hens that lay the eggs on store shelves, or so those eggs hatch into the broiler chickens that are raised for their flesh. So yeah, don't call me crazy. Yeah, because that's pretty sick to say I'm crazy because I don't fund animal molestation. Okay. Yeah, I'm literally telling the truth. Consumers absolutely need to know the truth so that they can make educated choices. Because, yeah, nobody in their right mind would want to fund bestiality and animal molestation, especially if you're Christian. Yeah, look at what your Bible says about bestiality and what the punishment should be. It's a major, major sin. And that's what you're literally funding every single time you consume a non-vegan product. So that's why you need to go vegan right now. Right now, you need to go vegan, because from this point forward, if you are not vegan, you are now knowingly funding bestiality. You are now knowingly funding the sexual abuse of animals. True story. True story. Yep. Even bees for honey. Yep, they're doing the same thing. They literally squeeze on the abdomen of the male bee, the drone, and that forces that bee to ejaculate. And then the bee dies. The bee dies. Then they restrain a queen They literally force the semen of about 20 drones into the queen to force her to reproduce. So yeah, even bees are being molested. Crazy. I'm so glad I'm vegan. So glad I'm vegan. And people better wise up and stop coming onto the live streams of vegans to defend animal molesters, because that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. All of you people who are literally here with your anti-vegan comments, what you're literally doing is defending animal molesters. True story. I just proved it to you. I just proved to you this. I can show you all kinds of videos, instructional videos. So this isn't even an undercover investigation. There are literally TikTokers on this app who have made TikTok videos demonstrating how they collect semen from male animals. They masturbate them. A human sexually stimulating an animal? That is bestiality. Bestiality does not have to be intercourse. Look it up. Bestiality, the definition is sexual relations between a human and an animal. So a human sexually stimulating an animal is sexual relations between a human and an animal. And you, as a consumer of animal products, you need to know the truth. So from this point forward, you can decide if you truly want to continue to fund animal molestation. I don't think you do. I mean, come on. Like, people need to wise up and become vegan activists right now. You need to become vegan activists right now. But no, what you're going to do, you're going to continue to defend animal molesters. That's bizarre. That is bizarre. That is bizarre. Bizarre. Complete. That is how powerful the animal molesters are, that they have fooled everybody so bad that people literally lose their fucking minds when they learn the truth. They literally lose their minds when they learn the truth. Like, you vegans are crazy. What? Like, I'm crazy because I don't support animal molesters? Okay. Yeah, well, if that makes me crazy, I'm going to be crazy for the rest of my life then. No, animal molesters need to be banned. Meat needs to be banned. Fish needs to be banned. Honey needs to be banned. Leather needs to be banned. Eggs need to be banned. Dairy needs to be banned. Anything that comes from an animal, any product that comes from an animal needs to be banned. Any product tested on animals needs to be banned. Zoos need to be banned. I'm literally here just stating facts. And this information is extremely important to get out to the masses, because not only is animal agriculture the most evil and vile industry, the most brutal industry, literally doing things to animals that if these same exact things were being done to humans, they would be crimes of rape, kidnapping, theft, and mass murder. But this vile, disgusting industry is literally destroying the planet, causing the 6th mass extinction. And animal agriculture is the leading cause of deforestation, species extinction, water pollution, water depletion, ocean dead zones, ocean plastics, fisheries depletion, pandemics, world hunger, and climate change. And I'm not even exaggerating. Every single second, an acre of land is slashed and burned. And it is mainly to graze and grow food for livestock. And as an acre of land is slashed and burned per second, all of the CO2 that those plants were holding is released back into the atmosphere. On top of the fact that the animals waste, very bad for the environment. Here in the United States, every single minute, livestock produce 7 million pounds of manure, which is like 130 times more excrement than the entire US population of humans produce each minute. Methane is a lot more powerful at heating up the atmosphere than CO2. And 50% of the ocean plastics come from ghost fishing gear from the commercial fishing industry. 1 billion people right at this very moment are starving because food they could eat is being used to fatten livestock so privileged people can eat meat and dairy products. Manure, fertilizer, again, every single minute in the United States alone, livestock produce 7 million pounds of manure per minute, which is like 130 times more excrement than the entire US population of humans produce each minute. There's no way we could ever use that amount of manure to fertilize anything. So most of that manure ends up in the rivers, which lead to the oceans, which leads to ocean dead zones. Yeah. We don't need cow shit to fertilize anything. You can actually use human waste for fertilizer. I use kitchen scraps to fertilize my own plants. I use compost to fertilize my plants. So yeah, you don't have to have livestock. And livestock, again, produce so much manure. There's no way we could ever use that amount of manure to fertilize anything because there's just so much. 7 million pounds per minute. So in 10 minutes, that's 70 million pounds of manure. In 10 minutes alone, 70 million pounds of manure. And yeah, it's interesting that people yeah, it's interesting that people will hear stories about, dogs being hoarded, cats being hoarded. And here, your food is coming from the same, if not worse, conditions. These people who hoard cats, these people who hoard dogs, and they have like literally hundreds, we're talking thousands of animals being crammed into these huge industrial sheds, kept in such filth, they have to be given antibiotics to keep them from getting sick. Food is coming from that you literally put into your mouth. And you still want to fight against veganism. Instead of being like, whoa, wait a second, I never thought about these things before. Wow, I never really thought. Yeah, this is pretty awful. And we don't even have to eat meat to be healthy. A plant-based diet is actually good for us. Yep, and if you're Christian, just turn to the very first page of your Bible. On the very first page of the Bible. Genesis 1:29. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. God's dietary plan for us is to be vegan. The Garden of Eden was vegan. Romans 14:21. It is good not to eat flesh. And look at the way these animals are being kept. It is not good to eat flesh. Yeah. And meat, dairy, and eggs are the most acidic and most inflammatory foods, loaded with artery clogging fats and cholesterol that clog the arteries up, impeding blood flow to the vital organs like your heart, which can lead to a heart attack, like your brain, which can lead to a stroke. It's not vegans dropping dead prematurely by the thousands from heart attacks and strokes and cancer and kidney disease. Not vegans filling up those hospital beds from the American Institute for Cancer Research, the National Kidney Foundation, the American Heart Association, they all state the same. A plant-based diet helps reduce your risk of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease. And if you have any of those diseases, a plant-based diet can help treat them. From the National Kidney Foundation, a plant-based diet helps reduce your risk of kidney disease. And if you have kidney disease, a plant-based diet can help slow the progression. That's coming from the National Kidney Foundation. Just look it up, stated right on their webpage. From the American Heart Association, stated right on the American Heart Association's webpage. The more meat you eat, the more risk you have of heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, many forms of cancer, type 2 diabetes. From the American Institute for Cancer Research, a plant-based diet helps reduce your risk of many forms of cancer. And if you have cancer, from the American Institute for Cancer Research, a plant-based diet helps fight cancer. And again, on the very first page of the Bible, Genesis 1:29, and God said, behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat. Romans 14:21, it is good not to eat meat. And then in line with Genesis 1:29 and Romans 14:21, from the American Institute for Cancer Research, the National Kidney Foundation, the American Heart Association, a plant-based diet helps prevent all of these very common and very deadly diseases. Like, come on, people, wake the fuck up. Thou shalt not kill is a commandment. Thou shalt not kill is a commandment, and there are no exceptions listed next to that commandment. So, again, this is where your food's coming from. Yeah, 99% of the meat, 99% of those animal products that are on store shelves coming from factory farms. And even the small family operated farms. Yeah, let me show you. Let me see if I could bring up a picture. If I have. Yeah, here's an image. This right here, screenshot of an undercover investigation of a small family operated dairy near where I live in Florida, the Burnham Dairy. Look it up. Look up the investigation of the Burnham Dairy. You can find it on YouTube, or if you go to the Animal Recovery Mission's webpage, from the Animal Recovery Mission, because they're the ones that did this investigation. You can see oh my God, this place, oh my God. And even the Iowa dairy farmer, yeah, look at his TikTok videos. He's always making TikTok videos and showing his cows in those barns, and there's shit everywhere. Shit on the floor, shit on the walls, shit all over the udders of those cows. Yeah, filth. Your food comes from filth. And I'm just stating facts. I don't know why you're getting so mad at me. Don't know why you're getting so mad at me for just stating facts. And yeah, see the standard practice throughout the dairy industry. And again, this is footage taken from a small family operated dairy farm here in Florida, near where this would be a local farm for me. This is what's happening on a local organic dairy farm. Small family operated dairy farm near where I live in Florida. See, they still take those babies off those dairy cows. And look at this. This is a newborn baby. You can tell just by the size of this little calf. This calf is just days old. So yeah, standard practice. It's not just happening on just the factory farms are doing that. That doesn't happen on all the farms. Yes, it happens on all the farms. Standard practice throughout the dairy industry. They take the calves off the dairy cows so that that mother and that baby do not bond. Because if that baby's a boy, that baby is going to be shipped off to the veal industry or the beef industry within a matter of days. So they do not want that mother and baby to bond. So that when they sell that little male calf off in a few days, that mother doesn't get so depressed that she stops eating, and then her milk production plummets. And they're selling even some of the female calves. Yeah, in case you don't know, even some of the female calves are sold off to the veal industry and sold off to the beef industry. Because these dairy cows, they all have to be impregnated to get them to start lactating. And then roughly every year thereafterward, they are forcibly re-impregnated to keep them lactating. So all of these dairy cows on these dairy farms are giving birth to a baby roughly once a year. And those babies are taken, okay? It would be impossible for these dairy farms to be doubling in size every year, okay? Because that's what would happen. That's what would be happening if those dairy cows kept their babies and they all stayed together as a family. That would mean that these dairy farms are literally doubling in size every year. That can't be happening. That would be impossible. Can't happen. So again, they're taking all the males, which is about 50%, roughly 50% of the babies being born are going to be males. So they're taking all the males, sending them off to the veal industry, sending them off to the beef industry, or on some farms, they'll kill the males right away. On this particular farm, yeah, footage, look it up. The Burnham Dairy Farm, done by the Animal Recovery Mission. There's a pit at the back of this property where they were dumping live calves. I am not kidding you. Look it up and look the investigation up. Taking live babies, dumping them into a fucking pit at the back of this property. Because it's easier for them. The dairy farmers have absolutely no use for the male calves. And again, even some of the female calves, because yeah, that would mean like, okay, 50% are going to be males roughly. Okay, so done away with them. So now you're left with 50% females. So that would mean that the dairy farms every other year would be doubling in size. Every other year. If they're keeping all the females to be dairy cows, that would mean every other year these dairy farms are doubling in size. That's not possible. That is not even possible. So yeah, even some of the female calves are sold off to the veal industry or the beef industry. Yep, true story. Circle of life. No, this is the circle of insanity. These animals, the mothers, the dairy cows are forcibly impregnated. Forcibly impregnated. Do you know what that means? Like if you were to forcibly impregnate a woman, what would that mean to you? Forcibly impregnate a woman. Rape. Yeah. So they are literally sexually violating those dairy cows to get them pregnant for the sick, evil purpose of stealing their babies from them so they can steal the food that by God belongs to these babies. Babies. Cow's milk is baby food for baby cows, not grown-ass humans. They steal the babies off the dairy cows so they can steal their food and sell it to you for profit. They steal these little newborn babies off those dairy cows within hours of them being born, so the mother and baby do not bond, because these babies, most of them are going to be sold off to the veal or beef industry. And they don't want these babies sucking up their profits. They don't want these babies getting in the way when, because they have to send that mother off into the milking parlor at least 2 times a day to suck her dry. So they don't want these babies in the way. So they take these babies off those dairy cows within hours. On most dairy farms, they remove these calves within hours of being born. Absolutely true. Yeah, more plants are killed to fatten livestock for slaughter, and animal agriculture is the leading cause of deforestation. So yeah, if you truly care about plants, you need to go vegan. And not only should you go vegan, you should become a fruitarian, because no plants are harmed for fruits, nuts, or seeds. No, and garbanzo beans and lentils are harvested after the plant dies naturally. No, Cory Booker. Cory Booker for president. Yes, he's vegan. Cory Booker is vegan. Oh, Cory Booker. I want to see Cory Booker as president. Do you know what happens when you don't milk a cow? That is what their babies are for. Would you wake up? Would you clean your ears out? Would you clean your ears out? That is what their babies are for. That is what their babies are for. But their babies are stolen. And then these sickos will say, oh, but we have to milk them or their udders will get infected. Well, if you didn't fucking steal their babies from them, that's what their fucking babies are for. But their babies are stolen so the dairy farmers can steal the food that by God is intended for these babies to sell to you for profit. And all you're doing by consuming these products is increasing your risk of cancer. Yeah, Linda McCartney. Yeah, Paul McCartney's wife. You remember she died of breast cancer a couple decades ago? And people are like, but she was a vegetarian. You see, she got cancer and she was a vegetarian. Yeah, vegetarians still consume animal products. Dairy. She was consuming dairy products. And she got breast cancer. Yes, because there is a link between dairy products and breast cancer. Imagine that. True story. The casein in dairy is carcinogenic. And there's also a link between dairy products and multiple sclerosis. Christina Applegate, another vegetarian who consumes dairy products. Oh, you're so weak. Oh, yeah, Kendrick Ferris, look him up. Kendrick Ferris is vegan. The only man from the United States to have made the Rio Olympics in weightlifting. Yeah, so Kendrick Ferris is proof. You don't even have to consume animal products to become an Olympic weightlifter. Megan Duhamel. Megan Duhamel went vegan back in 2008. 10 years into being vegan, 2018, she won Olympic gold. She was the only female pair skater to even attempt a quad throw in the Olympics, and she landed it. She landed it. As a vegan, 10 years into being vegan, landed a quad throw in quad. You know, like 4 times around? Yeah, a quad throw. Vegan. Do you know how much power you have to pull something like that off? Because like nobody else did it. At least not up until that point in 2018. 2018, Megan Duhamel, vegan, the only female pair skater to even attempt a quad throw in the Olympics, and she landed it. And Carl Lewis won 5 Olympic golds. Serena Williams, Venus Williams. Yeah, I don't know if they're vegan because I think they're doing it more for health. So yeah, they would be considered plant-based. Vegan is when you're taking a stand against animal cruelty. Now, if you're doing it for health reasons, which I haven't come across anything that says Venus or Serena are doing it for the animals. So they are plant-based, but still they're, not consuming animal products, and they're like the best athletes in their field. So yeah, it's just sad that so many people are so conditioned to actually think that they have to consume animal products to be healthy, when nothing could be further from the truth. Some of the top athletes are vegan. Some of the top, even weightlifters, vegan. Yeah, I'm not delusional. Okay, so I'm just making this shit up. Yeah, Kendrick Ferris doesn't exist. Yeah, Kendrick Ferris is a weightlifter. And he is the only man from the United States to have made the Rio Olympics in weightlifting. And he is vegan and had been vegan for a couple of years before he got into the Olympics, and was a vegetarian for, I think, about 10 years before that. Oh my God, people are so fooled by the animal killers that a lot of people don't even know what else to eat. Like I know, because I used to be so brainwashed that I actually did not think a meal was a meal if it didn't contain an animal body part or animal secretions. I was the same way. Like, what else is there to eat but animal carcasses? But of course, I didn't call them animal carcasses. Like, but that's what it is. It's a fucking animal carcass. You're eating an animal carcass. I mean, would you eat roadkill? Would you eat roadkill? Probably not. Most people will be like, ew, that's like if you saw somebody literally get out of their car, pick up a dead raccoon to take the dead raccoon home, put the dead raccoon in their refrigerator, and then cook that dead raccoon up the following night for dinner, you think they were cuckoo. But literally, your fucking refrigerator is filled with dead animals. But because you're so, like, blinded by the, like, the animal killers have got you, like, to where you can't even think. You can't even think. You can't even think. Like, literally, when I first went vegan, I had gotten bumper stickers. I need to get some new ones, because they're all worn out. But I was sitting in my car one day, and I should have got out, but I'm kind of like quiet. At least, I'm getting more, comfortable with being a vegan activist. So if I could go back in time, I definitely would have gotten out of my car. But I was sitting in my car, and I could overhear this older couple when they came out to their car. The lady was reading my bumper stickers, saying what happens to, like, the male chicks in the egg industry, how they're ground up alive, what's happening to the calves in the dairy industry, how they're taken off their mothers and killed. And then she's like, I could hear her ask her husband, well, what else are we supposed to eat? What else are we supposed to eat? That is how the animal agriculture industry, the animal killers, the animal molesters have fooled everybody to the point where people don't even know what else to eat. People actually say, oh, you vegans, like, you think I want to eat grass? Because they literally think, like, vegans are eating grass because we don't eat animal carcasses. Because they don't even know what else to fucking eat if it's not a dead animal or something that comes out of a bird shit encrusted ass vagina or a cow's infected udder. They don't even know what else to eat. Because they've been so conditioned, so fooled, so duped, so tricked. Meat is death. Meat is death. It's literally killing the animals, killing the planet, and it's going to end up killing you from, like, heart disease or cancer. Especially colon cancer. Colon cancer, very strong link between colon cancer and eating meat. Rotting animal carcasses, to be specific. That's what it is. So let's just call it what it is. Rotting animal carcasses. Slaughtered gore. That's what Plutarch called it. Plutarch. Slaughtered gore. Yep. Perfect term for meat. Slaughtered gore. But yeah, this here is a screenshot. There was an undercover investigation done by the Animal Recovery Mission. This was a few years ago, of a dairy farm, a small family-operated dairy farm here in Florida near where I live, the Burnham Dairy. Look up the investigation, the Burnham Dairy. You can find it on YouTube, or if you go to the Animal Recovery Mission's webpage, you can see the full footage of the investigation. Horrible shit happening on this small family-operated dairy farm. And you can see right here what happens when it rains, how these pens that these calves are kept in get flooded out. Like, this is a newborn baby. This baby should be with their mother, but because you want to consume dairy products, these babies are taken from their mother, kept in these tiny little pens, neglected to say the least. And if this baby is a boy, he's going to be sold off to the veal or beef industry within a matter of days, if he even survived. Yes, yes, decaying. As soon as that animal is killed, okay, their body starts to decay. The decaying process starts. However slowly, it starts to decay. Refrigeration, putting that animal carcass, that piece of an animal carcass in a refrigerator, that does not stop the decaying process. It only slows it down, but it does not stop the decaying process. And that's why when you eat meat, it doesn't always taste the same. Because I know, because unfortunately, I used to eat meat. And I can tell you, the meat I would eat, sometimes it would turn out good. Sometimes I'd be like, oh, what the fuck is wrong with this? Because you're eating animal carcasses at different stages of decomposition. So no wonder why it never was consistent. Like when I would eat even KFC, for instance. Sometimes I would eat KFC and the chicken, the flavor was always good because the flavor comes from the secret recipe, which consists of 11 herbs and spices. Herbs and spices are vegan. It's not that rotting chicken carcass that's so tasty. It's the 11 herbs and spices it's seasoned with. Herbs and spices are vegan. But yeah, I used to unfortunately eat at KFC growing up because I wasn't taught better. I didn't know any better. So yeah, I used to eat at KFC growing up. And so I can tell you from my own experience, sometimes I would eat at KFC and the chicken, was okay, tender, whatever. Sometimes I would go to KFC and the chicken itself would be fucking nasty. The flavor was always good. The chicken itself, a lot of times, would be fucking nasty. Why? Because you're eating an animal carcass at different stages of decomposition. So no wonder why it was never fucking consistent. But my food nowadays, since I'm vegan and I'm eating plant-based foods, it's always consistent. Always consistent. But yeah, give me a follow. Check out my last video. Share it, duet it. I just posted a video about what's happening to the wild American horses. Because, yeah, wild American horses are being annihilated, in case you don't know. Every year, the Bureau of Land Management, with our own tax dollars, rounds up thousands of wild American horses. And just in the past few weeks, over 20 wild American horses in Nevada died during the roundups. This horse right here broke his leg trying to escape the trap he was forced into. These helicopter roundups, they have these helicopters terrorize these horses, force them into these traps. And he escaped it. He jumped over the fencing and broke his leg in the process. And then he was chased down on 3 legs. On 3 legs, this horse ran for 35 minutes on 3 legs as he was being chased down. And then they shot him and killed him to put him out of his misery. And this horse should have never been put in that situation in the first place. But because people want to eat a steak, this horse is now dead, along with over 20 other horses, including foals. Yeah, a lot of these mares have babies with them. As they're being chased down, it's hard for those little babies to keep up with their mothers. Some of them literally die from exhaustion trying to keep up with their mothers. Some of them get separated from their families and end up starving to death. So yeah, they were noticing the what is it? The wild horse education. Um, wild horse education. They I believe document some of the roundups, what's going on these roundups, and said that there were like numerous mares that were obviously mothers and their babies nowhere to be found. Their babies nowhere to be found. So that means when they got rounded up by the BLM, their babies got left behind. Probably right now, starving to death. Because people want to eat grass-fed beef. So yeah, it's time to wake up, time to go vegan, stop making excuses. It's not, oh, why do vegans want to tell us what to eat? This doesn't have anything to do with what you're eating. It's what's happening to the animals. It's not just that you're eating meat. That's not necessary. Like, if you want to eat roadkill, I'm not going to fight you about that. But if you're going to intentionally have an animal killed and then have all of these wild animals annihilated in the process, yeah, there's a problem with that. Because non-vegans are literally causing the 6th mass extinction. Look at this. Stop spreading your nonsense. Veganism is not unhealthy. Some of the top athletes, some of the top Olympic athletes are vegan. Serena Williams, Venus Williams, Carl Lewis, Megan Duhamel, Kendrick Ferris. Literally, Kendrick Ferris, only man in the United States to have made the Rio Olympics in weightlifting. He is vegan. So Kendrick Ferris is proof you don't even have to consume any animal products to become an Olympic weightlifter. So stop spreading your nonsense and get educated. Conservation, that's just a bunch of nonsense. Just a bunch of nonsense. Preservation. Preservation is what is needed. Yeah, I am very well educated when it comes to the animal agriculture industry. That is why I'm vegan. That is why I'm vegan, because I do know what the fuck's going on. Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, Sir Isaac Newton, Leonardo da Vinci, Benjamin Franklin, Socrates, Pythagoras, Plato, Plutarch, all abstained from eating animals because they knew it was immoral and unhealthy. And even Albert Einstein knew that it was not environmentally sustainable. No, meat is not awesome. No, not awesome for the animals being tortured and killed. Not awesome for the wild animals that are being annihilated over it. Not awesome for the planet that's literally collapsing over it. Yeah, animal agriculture is literally destroying the planet, causing the 6th mass extinction. It's the leading cause of deforestation, species extinction, water pollution, water depletion, ocean dead zones, ocean plastics, fisheries depletion, pandemics, world hunger, and climate change. And every single day, thousands of people drop dead prematurely from heart attacks and strokes and cancer. It's not vegans dropping dead prematurely by the thousands each day. Not vegans filling up those hospital beds. And no, eggs are horrific. The egg industry grinds up male chicks, baby animals, alive. Baby animals ground up alive in the egg industry because at the hatcheries where all the egg-laying hens come from, they cannot determine the sex of the chicks until they hatch. So upon hatching, they sort the males, they dump them into a macerator where they're ground up alive. Standard practice throughout the entire egg industry. Now, at some facilities, they might just gas them or dump them in the trash where they suffocate or starve to death. I've even seen undercover footage where they take the male chicks and drown them. Okay, but typically maceration is the most common method of disposal of the male chicks, because at those hatcheries where all the egg-laying hens come from, they cannot determine the sex of the chicks until they hatch. So they have to wait till they hatch, and then they can determine which ones are males, which ones are females. They don't need the males because the males don't lay eggs. And that breed of bird is not the same breed used for meat. That breed does not grow quick enough or big enough to be profitable for meat, so they're disposed of. Iron deficiency, I have come across many vegans who have said that their iron deficiency resolved after going vegan. And let me explain to you how that probably happens. The animals whose flesh and secretions you consume, yeah, they're kept in such deplorable conditions. They have to be given antibiotics to keep them from dying. So when you're consuming animal products, you're giving yourself a low dose of antibiotics, okay? And what the antibiotics does, it not just protects these animals from getting sick from the filth that they live in, but what the antibiotics also does is it kills off the good gut bacteria, which promotes weight gain. So you consume animal flesh, you're giving yourself a low dose of antibiotics. That's killing off your good gut bacteria, possibly causing weight issues. But it also causes absorption issues. So you're not going to be able to absorb nutrients properly. But when you go vegan, you're going to restore your good gut bacteria. It doesn't happen overnight. It could take months. It could even take a year. But you're going to be eating a lot more fiber. The fiber helps to feed the good gut bacteria. That helps restore your good gut bacteria, helps with you being able to absorb nutrients better. So yeah, actually, I've come across plenty of vegans who said they used to be deficient in iron before being vegan, but then after going vegan, no more problems with iron deficiency. So yeah, if you're iron deficient, you're not vegan. Well, obviously being vegan is not the fucking problem. Something else is happening, and I guarantee it's most likely because of the fact that you're eating these filthy animals that literally they're forced to live in their own excrement. Pigs, chickens, turkeys. Even most cattle raised for beef are actually on feedlots, and those feedlots are pretty fucking filthy too. Free range means nothing. All free range means is that the animals are not kept in cages. Now, pasture raised animals, their flesh is going to be a lot more expensive. A lot more. For example, before going vegan, the last time I had turkey for Thanksgiving, I'm like, oh, it's Thanksgiving. Oh, my family expects me to make a turkey, which is like, I wish I could go back in time and say, fuck y'all. No, we're not having turkey ever again. But I remember it was like, I think 2008. That was the last time I had turkey for Thanksgiving. And I thought I was doing something good. Like, I'm going to go to the organic market because I know the owner went to the Amish farm where he gets his turkeys from, and he said that they literally have 4 acres of land to roam. Well, this was back in 2008. This was a 12-pound turkey back in 2008. That turkey cost like $70. Just this past Thanksgiving, I overheard somebody say they had gotten a 12-pound turkey for $9.99. Okay? So that pasture-raised, truly pasture-raised turkey that I got back in 2008, $70. Okay? So a truly pasture-raised animal, their flesh is going to cost a hell of a lot more money because land costs money. But even if you are actually paying that extra money, making sure that the animal is pasture raised, not free range. Free range means fucking nothing. It just means the animal's not kept in a cage. Free range might be a little bit more expensive, but it's not going to be that much more expensive. But still, even if you're paying the extra money and getting yourself a pasture raised animal, those animals are still killed as babies. They still end up at the same fucking slaughterhouse, being hacked to pieces for a meal. And the better those animals are treated, the more they want to live. So yeah, treating someone nice before you kill and eat them, that is really not humane treatment. What it is psychotic. Treating an animal nice and making them think that you're your friend, that they can trust you, and then you literally betray them in the worst way imaginable, literally kill them and eat them. Yeah, there's just no way around it. You have to go vegan. There's no way around it. And again, most of the animals being raised for food, literally kept in such filth, they have to be given antibiotics. Literally have to be given antibiotics because of the filth they're forced to live in. Most of these animals are kept in these huge industrial sheds by the thousands. And people get mad when they hear in the news people hoarding cats, people hoarding dogs. They get mad like, oh my God, these people are sick. How could they do that? That's so wrong. And that house needs to be condemned. And your food that you're putting in your mouth is coming from the same kinds of conditions that those animals that are being hoarded come from, living in their own filth. This is insanity. This is insanity. And people refuse to like take their blinders off and realize what's going on and be like, oh my God, these vegans are right. These vegans are right. Like, why do you have such a hard time admitting the truth that vegans are right? We are right. We're doing the right thing. This is the wrong thing. And you're all here with your anti-vegan comments. You're literally, this is what you're promoting. This is what you're here promoting with your anti-vegan comments. You're literally defending this. When you put your little anti-vegan comments here, steak, so delicious. You're literally defending this. You're literally defending animal abuse. That's insanity. Insanity. This person, I need help. I need it for what? Because I'm able to see the truth and accept the truth. You're the one who can't accept the truth. You're the one who can't accept the truth. You think I'm the one that needs help? You think because I can see the truth for what it is, and I accept the truth, and I've taken action, and I've refrained now from supporting this disgusting industry? Yeah, I'm perfectly sane. I am perfectly sane. That's why I'm vegan. Proof that I'm sane. I'm vegan. Proof that I can think for myself. I'm vegan. Yeah, it's kind of like Sinead O'Connor, you know, when back in, what was it, 2000 or 19, what year was that? 1992, when she ripped up the picture of the Pope, ripped it up because of what yeah, and people thought she was crazy. People thought she was crazy, but she knew the fucking truth. She knew the truth. She knew the truth. I know the truth. This industry is pure evil. Pure evil, but you can't see it because this is like your religion. It's like your fucking religion. Like, nobody's gonna change my mind. Animals are delicious. I mean, that's what me and my family do. That's what we do. We eat animals all day. Dead animal carcasses all day, every day. That's just what we do. It's our religion. Yeah, delicious. The reason why that slaughtered gore is so delicious is because of the herbs and spices it's seasoned with. Herbs and spices are vegan. It's not this decaying animal flesh that comes from an animal that literally marinated in a shit-filled dungeon for months. It's the herbs and spices that are so tasty. Yeah, my food tastes just as good as your food because my food is seasoned just the same way. Yeah, herbs and spices. Yeah. Animal agriculture is the most brutal and most environmentally destructive industry that has ever existed. True story. And the products this disgusting industry sells to you literally is just making you sick, increasing your risk of heart disease, increasing your risk of stroke, increasing your risk of colon cancer, increasing your risk of bladder cancer, prostate cancer, breast cancer, putting the world at risk of another pandemic like swine flu. Yeah, if you don't care, why are you here? Why are you wasting your time on my live stream? There's millions of other TikTokers. Why are you wasting your time on my live stream if you don't give a shit? Yeah, just remember that when you or your loved one ends up getting cancer. Oh, it's just such a small price to pay. Yeah, well, it's sad that you don't think food could be delicious unless it's like a rotting animal carcass, a seasoned rotting animal carcass, seasoned with herbs and spices. Yeah, vegan food is delicious, even more delicious, much healthier, much more environmentally sustainable. No animal has to be tortured and killed. No animal literally has to live through a real life Saw movie. Yeah, they literally live through a real life Saw movie. These animals are mutilated. These pigs, when they're babies, they have their tails cut off. The males are castrated with no anesthesia, no pain relievers. They literally have their teeth clipped. And then they're forced to live in these shit-filled dungeons for 6 months. Pigs are literally raised for 6 months before they are slaughtered. They can live well over 10 years, but they're slaughtered at just 6 months. 6 months living in a shit-filled dungeon. A real life Saw movie. So you can spend 10 minutes feasting on their flesh. They suffer for 6 months, having their tails cut off, their teeth clipped, the males castrated, forced to live in these shit-filled dungeons for 6 months in pure misery. Some of these animals get cancer. They get they get sick and they're just left to lay there and die a slow death. Or workers, totally legal for the workers to use blunt force trauma to kill sick piglets and to kill piglets that are not growing quick enough to be profitable for meat. Literally can slam them off the concrete floor and kill them and then throw them in the trash. But yeah, it's interesting that, people will hear news stories about like these dog hoarders, these cat hoarders. They'll show footage of the inside of these homes where there's like dozens of dogs and dozens of cats and there's just shit and filth everywhere. And people are like, oh my God, that's so awful. Oh, those poor animals. Oh, that house needs to be condemned. And your food that you're putting in your mouth, literally coming from similar, if not worse, conditions than those news stories about the dog and cat hoarders. You got pig hoarders hoarding thousands and thousands and thousands of pigs, thousands and thousands and thousands of chickens, thousands and thousands. And even on those, like most cattle raised for beef are actually on feed lots being fed grains, and those feed lots aren't much cleaner. Thanks for that. Yeah, it reminds me, Woody Harrelson, in the movie Zombieland. Woody Harrelson's been vegan for decades. So in that movie Zombieland, where it looks like he's wearing a leather jacket and leather boots and a leather cowboy hat, it's all vegan. All vegan. He made sure that even the Twinkies in that movie Zombieland, he made sure they made special Twinkies for him that were vegan, because Woody Harrelson is a real vegan. He's a real vegan. So he doesn't compromise. So when he made that movie Zombieland, he made sure that the jacket they put on him that looks like a leather jacket is actually vegan. The boots vegan, the hat vegan. Yep, Woody Harrelson is vegan. He's been vegan for decades. Geezer Butler of Black Sabbath, he's been vegan since he was like 8 years old. He's like what, 75 years old, and he's been vegan since he was 8. So Geezer Butler of Black Sabbath has been vegan for almost 70 years. Phil Collin, not Phil Collins, Phil Collin, the guitar player for Def Leppard, is vegan, and he's been vegan for decades. Rick Allen, the drummer, he's been vegan for a long time. And the whole group, Def Leppard, when they go on tour, they all eat plant-based. And some of the top Olympic athletes are vegan. Serena Williams, Venus Williams, Megan Duhamel, the only female pair skater, well, at least as of 2018. At the time, the only female pair skater to have even attempted a quad throw in the Olympics, and she landed it. She's been vegan since 2008. 10 years into being vegan, she wins Olympic gold. The only female pair skater, at least at the time, who even attempted a quad throw in the Olympics, and she landed it. Yeah, people are like, oh, vegans are so weak. No, they're not. Vegans are literally some of the top Olympic athletes. Seba Johnson. Seba Johnson has been vegan since she was born, since she was a baby. She was born vegan. And she was the first Black female ski racer in Olympic history. And she's been vegan her entire life. Carl Lewis won 5 Olympic gold medals as a vegan. Kendrick Ferris, vegan. He is the only man from the United States to have made the Rio Olympics in weightlifting. So Kendrick Ferris is proof you don't even have to eat animals or their secretions to become an Olympic weightlifter. So you people need to wake up, like literally wake up to reality. Like what we're doing to these animals, completely insane. For what? It's not like we have to eat animals to live and be healthy. Actually, the more meat, dairy, and egg products you consume, the more risk you have of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease. Even from the American Heart Association, the American Institute for Cancer Research, the National Kidney Foundation, all of these major organizations state the same thing, that a plant-based diet helps reduce your risk of the most common and most deadly diseases: heart disease, cancer, diabetes. And let me show you something. So from the American Dietetic Association, they even state that a vegan diet, a well-balanced vegan diet, is healthy and can even help prevent and treat certain diseases. Right there from the ADA, the American Dietetic Association, states right there, vegan diets can even help prevent and treat certain diseases. Right there from the ADA. So yeah, I'm not making this shit up, people. A plant-based diet is the best diet, not just for the animals, but even for your own health, even for the health of the environment. Fishing, would you put a hook through a dog's face? I mean, why would you put a hook through a fish's face? And even 50, the fish that are caught and released, there was a study done on that. 50% of those fish that were caught and released died from the trauma of being drug out of their habitat. It's traumatizing for them. These are sentient creatures. So you might not be able to relate to a fish because they're so different than us. But Fish are sentient creatures, and they are literally traumatized when they are dragged out of their habitat. And 50% of them, even if you catch and release them, 50% of them end up dying. And 50 or it's estimated that the average seafood consumer ingests 11,000 plastic particles each year, which is roughly the size of like a credit card worth of plastic every year, on top of mercury, which can lead to brain damage. And it's not just the fish that are dying. They literally fishermen kill seals and dolphins and whales and sharks because those animals are their competition. So yeah, like those images of the baby seals being bludgeoned to death, people automatically assume that that's the fur industry. Well, yeah, the fur industry is doing that, but also fishermen are doing that too. It's not just solely the fur industry killing the seals. The fishermen kill the seals too. No, God did not give us animals for us to eat. Untrue. Thou shalt not kill. That's a commandment. There are no exceptions listed next to that commandment. Thou shalt not kill means be vegan. The Garden of Eden was vegan. Genesis 1:29 on the very first page of the Bible. Right there. Genesis 1:29 on the very first page of the Bible. God designed us to be vegan. Romans 14:21. It is good not to eat meat. Isaiah 11:6-9. The wolf will lay with the lamb, and there will be no more harm. I love hunting. Oh, you love killing animals. Well, people who hurt animals rarely stop there. No, we're not living in a time where there was a catastrophic flood and we're like in a survival situation. Maybe if we were in a survival situation and we had to eat animals to survive, it would be acceptable. We are not in a survival situation, not even close. In fact, if we do not stop eating animals, we are literally putting ourselves at risk. Animal agriculture is destroying the planet, causing the 6th mass extinction, the leading cause of climate change, animal agriculture. Leading cause of deforestation, animal agriculture. Leading cause of freshwater depletion, animal agriculture. Yeah, a lot more plants are killed to feed livestock. What do you think those animals whose flesh and secretions you consume? You think they just live off of air? Do you think they live in the air? No, they literally clear an acre of land per second. An acre of land slashed and burned per second, and it's mainly to graze and grow food for livestock. Most of the fires in the Amazon are intentionally set by cattle ranchers because it's a quick and easy way to clear the land to graze cattle. Yeah, so if you care anything at all about plants, you need to go vegan. And you need to go vegan now. Yeah, and if you truly care about plants, become a fruitarian because no plants are harmed for fruits, nuts, or seeds. And garbanzo beans and lentils, they're harvested after the plant dies naturally. Yeah, I'll eat 3 times the meat. Well, now you'll be just putting yourself at 3 times the risk, 3 times greater risk of getting cancer and heart disease. So foolish, so foolish. Why don't you come to the defense of the animals instead of coming to the defense of the animal abusers? Okay, well, it's 2 a.m. where I'm at, and I got to get up for work in the morning, unfortunately. I wish I could advocate for the animals 24/7 because the animals are being slaughtered 24/7. Literally every single day across the United States, 30 million animals are slaughtered each day. 30 million animals each day forced into slaughterhouses across the United States. And do you know that they use gas chambers? Yeah, they do here in the United States. People, you might think, oh, that's what they do in Europe or whatever. They literally use gas chambers on animals here in the United States. Maybe not every slaughterhouse, but some of these slaughterhouses are using gas chambers and gassing these animals to death. Well, I mean, come on, they even gas dogs and cats at some of these animal shelters. Shelters where they're like executing innocent animals just because they weren't adopted. So yeah, go vegan, pay a visit to your local animal shelter, adopt a cat, adopt a dog. If you can't, at least donate, volunteer. No, meat is not good. It's not good for the animals who suffer and die for it. Not good for the wild animals who are being annihilated, because wild animals compete with livestock for grazing land, like the wild American horses being annihilated. Look at the last video that I posted. Wolves, cougars, bears, bobcats, lynxes, coyotes, foxes being annihilated because they were a threat to livestock. Not good for your own health. The more meat, dairy, and egg products you consume, the more risk you have of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, kidney disease, cerebrovascular disease, causing another pandemic like swine flu and bird flu. And animal agriculture is destroying the planet. Even researchers at Oxford University, after doing an extensive study of over 40,000 farms, concluded that animal agriculture is so environmentally destructive, going vegan is the best way to save the planet. That's coming from Oxford University. Watch or look at Joseph Poor's study, Poore. I'm not going to ever eat lab-grown meat, but if that's what it takes to get the slaughterhouses to close down, then yeah, I'm for lab-grown meat if that's what it takes to get the slaughterhouses closed down. But me, myself, I would never consume it unless I was like in a survival situation. Just meat is just a total, oh, it's horrible. Diet, you don't understand. Diet. Oh, he's on a raw food diet. I'm not on a fucking diet, okay? I'm not concerned.